A big shout out to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Probably one of the most used elements on my dashboards is the custom button card. I've had quite a few people ask me how I set up those custom button cards. Now, there are tons and tons of options, and as they are customizable, you can do all kinds of things with them. I'm going to show you a couple of ways I did different things on my dashboards today and how I use those custom button cards. So let's jump over to the dashboard and I'll show you a few of those custom button cards as well as the code behind them that makes them work. Before we get started, let's talk about this video sponsor, Skillshare. As I mentioned in the intro, there is some code involved, some YAML, but don't let YAML scare you. Think of it more as a storage of configuration rather than a programming language. One of the best ways to learn YAML is with Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online courses for anyone who wants to expand their creativity or learn new skills. Of those many courses that Skillshare offers are courses on YAML. I'm currently taking a course called Learn YAML from Scratch by Taryn Teelang. Even if YAML is not at the top of your interests, there are many other courses that Skillshare has to offer. There's courses in coding, data science, programming foundations and languages, getting organized, art, photography, and many, many others. There is something for everyone out there. In fact, there are new premium courses added each week, so there's always something new to discover. You can discover all Skillshare classes for free. The first 1,000 people to use the link below will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. So what are you waiting for? Now's the time to become a member and start your learning and exploration. So let's get back to learning about how I'm building these custom button cards. Okay, so let's start off by talking about what custom button cards are. There's a GitHub page that has all of the custom button card configuration information on it. Custom button cards are made by RomWriter, and you can see an example of what they do in this little bit of a snippet here. Let's talk about some of the features down below. This works with any toggleable entity in Home Assistant. There are 6 available actions on tap and or hold and or double click. So you can tap it, hold it, or double click it to do anything like none, toggle, more info, navigate, URL, and call service. There's a state display, which is optional. Turn that on and off. Custom colors are optional or based on light RGB values or temperatures. Custom state definition with customizable color, icon, and style, again, optional. A lot of these things are optional. You could just run the custom button card by itself with no options, and it would do just fine. You can customize the size of the icon, the width and the height, the aspect ratio support, Java templates or JavaScript templates in some fields. I'm not going to get into that today. That's pretty complex, and I'm not going to do that for this video. Custom icons, custom CSS styles, multiple layouts supports, and custom layout supports. You can have units for the sensors, and you can be redefined or hidden, so you can show what units those are or just change them all together. There are 2 color types. You can change the color of the icon, or you can change the color of the entire card. The automatic font color, if color type is set to card, so the font will adjust if you happen to change the icon color so you can still see it. Blank card and label card for organizational purposes. Blink animation support. Rotating animation support. Confirmation pop-up for sensitive items. So you can also use, or you can use a locking mechanism so you can keep things from happening or lock them out if you don't want to. Let's say you're on a dashboard and you want to lock something from being accidentally turned on or turned off, such as an alarm setting. Haptic support for iOS companion app, and then support for custom updater and HACS. And then there are just tons and tons of options you can go through here for each one of those things. I'm not going to go through all of these. You can certainly read those. All right, so let's go over to the dashboard and we'll start talking about where I'm using them first of all. A lot of these cards, or a lot of these buttons here, are custom button cards, and they actually change based on the state of the entity. When this gate is open or closed, for example, they'll change state, and when they're open, it'll flash red as a visual indicator. All of these down here will change based on the colors or the temperatures. You can see that here. Standard is a certain temperature, and when I hit a threshold, it starts to change to a yellow, and when it gets above a threshold, it starts to change red. For some of these, I have information over here on a washing machine, for example. It changes color when it's active. And then if there is water running, my water custom button card will flash here. So I've got quite a few of these. So I'm going to take a few and show you how I use them. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to open up the editing portion of the dashboard, and I'm just going to show you how I've actually done this. So we'll go into this section right here, and we'll click on the edit button. And the custom button cards are actually that. They are custom, so you have to use some YAML to do this. And you can see that over here. Let me just show you an example. If you choose the custom button card as a configuration type card from the Add Card button, you'll see here there's no visual editor available for type custom button cards. So everything has to be done manually through YAML. Again, if you're worried about YAML, which you shouldn't be, go take that Skillshare course I mentioned earlier, and that will help you understand what YAML is and some of the formatting options required for YAML to work properly. For now, though, let's look at the types of cards we're going to use. Let's go to the North Gate. So I'm going to scroll down here and find North Gate. And let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger for y'all. So if I make it too big, I'll lose the color. So let me go over here on the side and show you while I'm doing it what we do here. So this is a custom button card here, and it's using the binary sensor North Gate status. And that status is either going to be on or not on. And I'm going to change the card based on that status. And I'm going to give it an icon of MDI gate. You can see that I have an icon here. The tap action is more info. So if I click on that, I'm going to get more info. Nothing else is going to happen. I'm not going to try to close the gate with that button or anything else. I just want to see more information. You can set this to, as it said over here, let me find it up top here. You can set it to none, toggle, more info, navigate, URL, and call service. So more info is what I leave it at. Show state is false. You can see here that there's no state. If I change this to true, let's just see what happens. Now you can see that the state is displayed here. It says closed. I don't need to see that because I'm using the colors to indicate what's going on, so I'll set that to false. It also frees up some real estate on the button, so you're not using so much of the button. Your styles you can set now. I'm setting my opacity to 50%. And what that means is when this gate is closed, this button actually becomes less visible. You can see that by setting it even lower. 20%, maybe you can or can't see that on the video, but you can see now that it's much lower in opacity. So we put it back to 50%. If you set it to 100%, it would be white, bright white all the time. And I'm just trying to, 100%. I just want it to be muted when I'm not needing to see it. And that's a trick of the dashboards. Some of the stuff that I don't need to see all the time, I kind of put it in the background by setting this filter a little bit lower. And then whenever it becomes active, it stands out a little bit more. I set the height based on some of the other buttons on the row because I want all the buttons to line up. And you can change this to whatever you want it to be. You'll see now that it made that bigger and pulled all these other ones down except this one, which is set for a specific value. So I'll put that back the way it was. The icon color is white. You can change this to whatever you want. It uses this standard color name, so red if you wanted to. I'll leave it at white. Font size is 12 pixels. Again, changing that makes it bigger. And you can see where it sets that right there. That's the name font size. Now these styles apply to specific parts of the button. And you specify those here. The card itself is in this section. The icon, you set it here. The name specifies only this section of the card itself. So you can change all these things based on specific areas of the card. You could say you can make this color blue, which is unreadable now, but you can make it blue and make the icon purple or red or whatever, because you can set the style separately. I'm going to leave it at white. Now the fun part of this card is making it do something. So right now the gate is closed, and because it's closed, this state value is not true, which means it's not going to do anything with this state value. The MDI icon, or the icon is going to be MDI gate open. So whenever it goes to on, it's also going to change that to an open gate. And you can see here where I apply the styles again. Background color for the card. Notice we're using the card as our style, not just the font, or not just the icon or anything. But the color is going to be red for the entire card. The opacity is 100%. The height stays the same. And then I want to blink 2 seconds, easy, and make it do it indefinitely or infinitely. It'll continue to blink as long as this state is on. And I'm going to go over here And I'm going to change the gate status where you can see that. I'm going to set it to, if I can ever get there, go to Developer Tools. I'm going to change the gate status. And this is a way you can test stuff as well. If you want to change north gate status, the sensor is off. I'm going to change this to on. Oops. If I can do that, there we go. Change it to on. I'm going to set the state. And now if we come over here and look at our dashboard, you can see that the north gate status is turned on. So we have a red background, 100% opacity, and then we're blinking every 2 seconds infinitely. And then the icon color is white and the name color is also white. So that's one example of the way I use a custom button card. And it's really neat. I do a lot of this flashing because I have a little tablet over here on the desk. And if I'm seeing it out of the corner of my eye, I want to be able to see some sort of visual indication that something has changed. And if you have this on a dashboard on a wall and you're walking by, then you can also see that something is not the right way or whatever way you want it to be. In this case, if it's open, that's a problem. So it's red and it's flashing. If it were supposed to be open all the time and then closed, you could reverse that. All right, so let's set this back to off so it quits doing that. And now you see it's back to its normal state. So this one, this button and this button do exactly the same thing. If either one of these gets open, then it changes that state. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit here and we're going to look at a couple of these cards down here. These are also custom button cards and they're pretty much the same without the flashing part, but we'll look at them again anyway. And for that, I'm going to search for the word garage because otherwise it will take me too long to find garage in my list of stuff here. Well, let's take this one because this is what I found right here. This is the garage freezer temperature. And you can do pretty much the same thing with that. Let me close this. Again, it's a custom button card. It's going to be hard to kind of see this. We'll go back and forth, but it's this garage freezer right here. And I call it GRG freeze. And you can see because I want it to fit on this button card here. So you may have to make some adjustments to the titles to make it fit. It's using the sensor, garage freezer sensor temperature. Again, the title is garage freezer. Show units is true. And the show units is this right here, this Fahrenheit unit. You can either turn that on or off. It's up to you. I like to know that it's a Fahrenheit so I know what I'm looking at. Show state is also true. So you can see the state. That's important because the state on the temperature sensors is something I want to be able to see. So if I set this to false, you come down here, now you'll see that you have the garage freezer, but you don't have any temperature. So you don't know what the temperature is. So I'm going to leave that as true. And we'll see it down here. So garage freezers minus 3.5 Fahrenheit. And again, we have the same styles set up for this card as we did the other one. It's opacity. I know somebody told me this in another video. It's probably opacity. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's not opacity, but it's 70%. So when it's just sitting here idle, it's at 70%. The height's 100 pixels. The name is going to be 12 pixels in height, and it's going to be white as well. Now this is where we have a different type of operator. And if you look at the operators on the configuration sheet here, you have some of the different operators. The order of your elements in the state object matters. The first one, which is true, will match the value field for all operators except regex support templating. So you have less than, and equal to, equals to, greater than equal to, greater than, not equal to, and then you have some regex and some templating. So I'm going to use this current state is superior to the value, so greater than the value. So on this one, I want to know whenever the value is greater than 12 degrees Fahrenheit or equal to. So I have an operator of greater than or equal to. So the syntax is such that you do your value first and then your operator, and then you apply the styles if it matches this particular operator and value. In this case, the background color will be red, 100% opacity, 100 pixels in size. And again, it's going to blink 2 seconds infinite with a white color and a white color icon and a white color name. So that's pretty straightforward. The only difference is this. Now, what happens if you have a card like this or one of these where you want the temperature or you want the color to change based on it going up a little bit at a time. So you want it to start yellow and maybe go red at some point. So let's take a look at that one. So here's one where we have a garage temperature. It's the air temperature in the garage. And right now we're looking at this custom button card. Right now it's yellow. So my title's garage, name is garage, units true, state true. We talked about that already. The default is going to be an opacity of 70% with white font, a white font of 12 pixels and 100 pixel height card. And then we have a value. These are where we have some interesting things with the value. So if the value is greater than or equal to 90, my card's going to turn yellow. It's going to come up in opacity of 80 to 80% with 100 pixels height. And then my icon, my name, and my state will all be black font colors, which you can see here because black on yellow is easy to see. And it'll stay that way until it gets up to 110 degrees. So whatever value is first is the one it's going to match. So at 110 degrees, it's going to go greater than or equal. So greater than 110 degrees, it's going to have a background color of red. Opacity should be 800. That should be more like 100. So we'll fix that while we're here. 100 pixels, and then black color font and black color icon, which actually will be, we're going to make that white. Let's do that. Let's make these white. So as I go through this, I'm actually finding a couple of mistakes that I'll fix. So you get to watch me troubleshoot and fix the mistakes while I'm at it. Okay. So we have that, and then that will change that way. So now you're seeing an example of a multi-level type of card in which it'll change based on the temperature. Now let's go down here to the attic one. I want to check something here. Attic air temperature. Yep. Okay. So that's what I thought. Let me talk about a mistake I have just made, and I showed you the mistake, which I will leave in the video just to highlight it for you. If you look over here in these custom button card settings, it says the first one, which is true, will match. Okay. So think about it this way. If you have a value of 90 degrees, or you have a threshold of 90 degrees for a yellow, and you have a value or a threshold of 110 for red, it's going to be greater than or equal to 90 degrees, even when it's greater than or equal to 110, which means that the 90 will always match. And according to this, the first one, which is true, will match. So it will always match on the 90 degrees. So if I go back up to my garage, or my garage here, and I look at the order of precedence here, the value greater than 90, it will always stop here and never get to 110 because it's going to hit the first true value. So the way to fix that, which I'll do this later, not on the video, I will fix it later. You come over here and you look at the attic temperature. This is the correct way. And don't mind the font color. It's just the YAML formatting of this editor. It didn't change it to formatted colors, but it's fine. It's the same thing. This is a custom button card for the attic. Show units true, show state true, which we're seeing here. That's this one right here. 70%, 100 pixels, 12 pixels white. Now here's the difference. This is 110 degrees. So if it's greater than or equal to 110 degrees, it's going to go red. And I'm not sure why all these are 800, but we'll do 100. And then 100 pixels, white, white, black. We'll make this for red. I want them all white. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I did it that way. So we have 110 first, and then we have 100 second, which means that if this doesn't match, it's going to skip it and go here. So I want my intermediate or my not so bad color to be lower down the list because I want it to match first when it gets to this point. So now this is going to be 100 degrees. Greater than or equal to 100 degrees, it will turn yellow with an opacity of 80%, 100 pixel height with black, black, and black. And then because it's only 100 degrees, it'll skip this one. But as soon as it gets to 110 or higher, it'll stop here because this is the first true one and turn it red. So the order of precedence matters. And that's very specific, like it talks about here. The first one, which is true, will be the matching number. And the garage one is obviously incorrect because it's not going to do the garage one first. It's going to do it'll always do the yellow first because it's never going to go past that true statement. And the same thing here for guest. Let's see how we did that one. I think I have a single color. Yep, that's a single color. So those are the custom button cards on this section right here. And pretty much a lot of them are the same. I don't want to make this video super, super long. So let's take and save that because I made changes. And let's just go over to my other dashboard. See if there's anything else I want to talk about over here. These are all pretty much the same right here. This one will flash whenever there's usage, wherever that is. This one will flash when there's a certain amount of usage. And let me just show you that one real quick. And that'll probably be the last one for this dashboard because I don't want to make this video super, super long. If we go down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's row number 6. Now we can see our custom button cards here a little easier. This is the current day, and if anything over 1,000, greater than or equal to 1,000 will turn blue, telling me I've used a lot of water. And if we go to card number 2, which is the current, now what this will do is anything greater than or equal to a value of 0.5 will cause that card to turn green with an opacity of 100%, 100 pixels in height, an animation of 2 seconds, and then it's going to ease infinitely or infinitely flash. And that'll tell me that there's actually water running somewhere. The reason I use 0.5, just for those that want to know, is because on 0.5 or anything less than 0.5, the meter will false a little bit and it'll always show water running when it's not. So I want to know if water is actually really running. And to do that, I just use a value of greater or equal to 0.5 instead of a value of 0 on that one. And that's basically how I do most of my cards. And I use a lot of them here. You can see how many of those custom button cards that I have on here. And I like those cards for the ability to set the font size, to be able to set things specifically so they fit on my dashboard. There's a whole section on these custom button cards that talk about how you can set up the layouts. You have all of these options here for layouts. And in fact, you can come in here and do a bunch of fancy stuff. And I'm trying to see if I can find it quickly. You can put stuff in different areas on the card itself. And I did that at one point for my thermostat cards. I had a bunch of different things on the thermostat cards. And I talked about where they were and how they fit on there. And I think I did that on a live stream. So you can look through that live stream, talks about it. Here's one example. You can kind of put this little circle here. Instead of changing the whole card, you can kind of put it right here and change the circle area or that little element on the card itself. So with CSS and some neat stuff where you can see this right here as an example, you can make cards that look like this. Whoops. Well, that really messed it up, didn't it? You can make cards that look like this by using code that looks like this. And that's where you really get into some really very, very customizable stuff. If you're just starting out, use the examples I showed you in this video. If you're really into it and you really want to make a super custom dashboard, dig into that custom cards page, and I'll put that link down below, and really look into how you can really utilize the customization of those cards, because I think that card is probably one of the most powerful elements that you can use in Home Assistant on your dashboards. All right, this got to be a little bit longer than I thought it would be with just 3 or 4 cards, but I hope it's helpful and helps you all build some of your dashboards out. I've been through a couple of dashboard videos. You can certainly look at those. That'll be part of my dashboard playlist that you can see at the end of this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure also that you talk to me on Discord if you have some specific stuff that YouTube comments doesn't let me put in there or makes it hard to converse on YouTube comments sometimes. And if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. And for everyone else, thank you for watching. Join the channel if you want to support me, and we will see you on the next one.